Howdy, howdy, y'all. This is another episode of Maharaj's I Am That, Chapter 13, The Supreme, the Mind, and the Body. This chapter is pretty big. It's for a chapter in this book. Let's see, it was like started on 36 and ended up 42. So what? That's like 6 pages you know, for this book. That's pretty long. Because mind you, like I said, these are all conversations and whatnot. And so yeah, that's a lot of conversation by comparison to some of these other conversations. Like a lot longer. Anyways, this one, yeah, it's very deep. Like the person he's talking with is very definitely someone a bit more. This isn't. I don't think it's a novice. I'll say. I don't think this person's a novice at all. I think this is someone pretty well into their own journey by this point. So it's really interesting. There are a lot of different terminologies and stuff that I wasn't as familiar with that I got to know about. Um, so that was interesting. Um, I think there's just a couple really. I like lots of interesting metaphors. And also just a lot of just explaining like the difference between especially to explain what the supreme is, especially because by this point we all understand what the body means. This is the body, the mind. This is the mind, um, but the supreme, um, yeah, that was interesting hearing him explain the supreme. Actually, there's a good quote here. What was it? It was right here. As the universe is the body of the mind, so is consciousness the body of the supreme. It is not consciousness, but gives rise to consciousness. So, I mean, I really like that explanation. I think it really helps put into like an understanding of what the supreme is. I mean, we know what the mind and body is. The supreme, though, like it's ultimate, the supreme reality or God, some might call it. Um, Although he doesn't really care particular about these terms. Um, that in which consciousness happens, the universal consciousness or mind we call the ether of consciousness. All the objects of consciousness form the universe. What is beyond both, supporting both, is the supreme state, a state of utter stillness and silence. Whoever goes there disappears. It is unreachable by words or mind. You may call it God or Brahman or supreme reality, but these are names given by the mind. It is the nameless, contentless, effortless, and spontaneous state, beyond being and not being. Yes, that I thought that particular one too was really interesting, as well. Like, and actually, both of these are like right next to each other. These quotes that both of them like said, like right next to each other too. But yeah, it was just this one's really deep. This is a really deep chapter. I'm probably gonna find myself going back to this one a number of times, because even now, yeah, it's just so this one's like probably the most advanced chapter yet. I mean, not just in terms of a lot of different terminologies being used. Just yeah, it definitely feels like it's like I say, like it's a lot more advanced. Um, what is the source of consciousness? The questioner asks. The consciousness itself is the source of everything. Can there be life without consciousness? Nor can consciousness nor can consciousness without life. They are both one, but in reality, only the ultimate is. The rest is a matter of name and form. And as long as you cling to the idea that only what has name and shape exists, the Supreme will appear to you non existing. When you understand that names and shapes are hollow shells without any content whatsoever, and what is real is nameless and formless, pure energy of life and light of consciousness, you will be at peace. immersed in the deep silence of reality. So yeah, like I said, it's I don't know, like this chapter just felt particularly heavy towards with me. Like this is probably the heaviest one yet. Oh yeah, this is another good one too. The world and the mind are states of being. The supreme is not a state. It pervades all states, but it is not a state of something else. It is entirely uncaused, independent, complete in of itself, beyond time and space, mind and matter. So yeah, like I said, this is a very advanced chapter. He's really, and this is like, I feel like this is like the conversation where he's like, okay, this one's a little bit more ready. Let me really start unveiling the curtain a bit more with this one. It's like, because with some of these questioners, you can kind of tell, like, oh, this person just kind of, this person's like the very basics. So here, let me give him like a little bit of the, of the 101, the basics. With this one, definitely, I mean, the basics are there because the basics are always there no matter what you're doing, right? Basics are always there for anything in life. That's why they're the basics. But I think that like with this one, it's applying it to like the next stage or the next kind of logical conclusion of it all. Which I mean, obviously, when we're dealing with supreme state, especially according to him, right? Like trying to pursue with the mind, like oof, right? Because it's beyond that. It's beyond even existence and non-existence itself. Which that's the part of it that blows my mind. I think that's the part of it that's really just still like, whoa, it's beyond existence and non-existence itself. Like, oof, I mean, I get like conceptually that kind of makes sense, but like it's something like yeah, it's hard to wrap their brain around. But I think I would keep it at this. Yeah, just like I said, let me all know in the comments what you think, especially for any of y'all reading along at home. Like I said, this is chapter 13, the supreme, the mind, and the body, and this has been Maharaj's I Am That. So, until next time, y'all, peace.